So, you want to put a Halloween costume on your cat? You're crazy. Not every cat is going to want to wear a Halloween costume. But if you're really, 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 really set on putting a Halloween costume on your cat, I've got some tips for you. And so does Summer. I'm going to tell you the tips, and Summer is going to show you the tips. So, let's get started. First tip is make sure the costume is safe, because even if your cat's going to only have it on for a few minutes, your cat could strangle herself or pull out and swallow strings or chew on stuff. Like, I'll give you an example here. Summer is really cool with this little Halloween collar, and it really is. It's cute on her. Summer, come on, look cute. Good girl, good girl. But the only problem with it is that it's got these like ribbons, and she doesn't chew on ribbons very much. She's pretty good about it. But your cat could possibly be a chewer, and if you left this out, they could totally chew it up and swallow these pieces, and it would not be good for them. Or they could try chewing it while they were wearing it. And so I would not necessarily recommend something like this for all cats. Only put something on with elastic under strict supervision, and do not leave anything like that out. Always put stuff away. I prefer just being on the safe side, not using anything with strings. So keep that in mind. Number 2, make sure the costume fits. The best thing to do is to measure your cat before you actually go out and buy a costume for them, so that you make sure that you're getting the right size. This is what happens when you don't measure your cat and you just go out and buy a costume thinking it's going to fit. Come on, get around. This is supposed to be a pumpkin, but it's a little big on Summer. To measure your cat, you should measure them around the neck. She's about 9 inches. And you measure them around the torso. And she is about 14 and a half. And you measure how long they are, too. Hey, where'd you go? Summer. You also measure them from the shoulder to the base of the tail, and she's about 11 inches. There you go. Good girl. The next tip is simpler is better. I mean, I know you want to put an elaborate costume on your cat, like maybe this, or this, or maybe this. But trust me, your cat will be much happier if you just go simple with something like maybe this cute little Halloween bell collar. See, that's a cute little costume. She looks all festive and Halloween-y. Or how about this? How about this one? There. It's a little cobweb collar with a little spider on it. That's really cute. So anyway, I'd say simpler is better. If you're still wanting to put an actual costume on your cat, I will give you some tips. My first recommendation would be to just have something for your cat that she or he wears on the body, not on the head, because cats really don't like having things on their head. Summer is actually pretty tolerant about having things on her head, but even she has her moments. So yeah, try not to use something that requires her wearing something on her head. And of course, don't even think about putting a mask on your cat. That's just ridiculous. Cats just don't like to have things on their faces, even less than they like having them on their head. For simplicity purposes, I'm going to pick out a costume to demonstrate the next tips. This taco cat costume. Because it's actually a comfortable costume. It's not restrictive. Your cat actually might wear it without too much complaint. And it's really funny. This is the cat's favorite part. I call it bribery. She calls it the treat. And what you do is you take your cat's absolute favorite treat, something that your cat really likes. Summer loves freeze-dried chicken, and you'll be able to convince them that they will get rewarded, because cats always want to know what's in it for me, so you gotta bribe them. Before you do the shoot, you want to make sure your cat's familiar with the costume before even wearing it. So just put the costume right in front of them and give them a treat. Maybe leave it out while they're having dinner or breakfast or something. Just have the costume be around for a few days so that they get used to seeing it, and it just becomes a part of their everyday life after a couple of days. Then once they're actually used to having it around, just sort of like let them sniff it, let them examine it. They want to rub on it, that's good. After they're used to it, you might want to test it out by putting it on top of them without actually fastening it or anything, and see how they respond. Some cats maybe freak out, and if they do, you might want to have second thoughts and maybe just put a cute Halloween collar on them. Just have it be on them for a couple of minutes and take it off. Give them a treat. And do that a few times. I mean, don't just like, do it once and think you're done. I mean, just make sure the cat's really familiar with just wearing the costume without it being fastened. Just make a game out of it. Look at that, she's wearing it. What a good girl. Look at that. You get to have a treat. You get to have a treat because you've got the taco on your back. Now, once your cat is used to having the costume on, but unfastened, let's see what happens if you try to fasten it. Just let them feel it out. Maybe they'll be okay with it. If they're okay with it, fine. If at any point your cat really starts to protest and they really hate it, just give them a break. I mean, your cat's your family member. You don't have to make them do all sorts of crazy things. Well, maybe you do make your family members do crazy things sometimes, but be a little patient with your cat. Let's see, next step is before you take your photos, prepare. Figure out where you're going to be taking the photos and make sure the background is clear from distractions. You don't want to put your cat through all the trouble of putting on a costume and then realizing you're in a room with all sorts of boxes and clutter and everything. Just clear out a spot where you're going to take a photo, maybe even decorate it a little bit. I'm just using a plain backdrop in your studio and make it look clean and neat and just a good backdrop for your cat's Halloween costume. And also make sure if you're taking photos or video, make sure you have everything handy. Make sure you have the camera. Make sure the camera has enough batteries and the memory card has enough memory in it. Or if you're using the phone, the phone's fully charged and you know how to use it. In fact, do a few practice runs if you're not used to using your phone or your camera a whole lot, without the costume on or something, just to practice doing it so you can just do it really quick and the cat doesn't have to wear the costume for very long, because the shorter the cat has to wear the costume, the better. Okay, so once you're prepared and you have the clean set, then you want to get your cat. Always be ready with the good treats. And here's another thing, make sure you praise your cats. Cats love treats, they want to know what's in it for them, and they don't respond to praise as much as dogs do, but they do like to know that you're happy with them and you approve of them and you think they're doing a really awesome job, and just keep on telling them that. You're a beautiful, wonderful costume-wearing kitty, aren't you? And the final tip I have for you is really be super patient with your cat. Don't expect everything to happen in a day. It takes time to get a cat to do something that's not natural to them. But at the same time, just because it's not natural to them doesn't mean that they can't do it or they won't do it or they won't like it. Summer does lots of things that are completely unnatural to a regular cat, and she really enjoys it. As a matter of fact, she thrives on this sort of thing. Your cat's probably not the same way, but who knows, maybe your cat will like wearing a taco costume or another costume that you happen to pick out. Thank you for watching, and if you want to see a playlist of Summer's best videos, look up in the corner. And if you want to see another video of her wearing a fun costume, look in the other corner. And that's it. Okay, Summer, wait bye-bye. Wait bye-bye, Taco Cat. Wait bye-bye. Good girl.